Loose tenon joinery. It's fast, it's strong, it's expensive. Really, really expensive. But maybe that's about to change. Today we're looking at the brand new JessEm Pocket Mill Pro loose tenon joinery system. And I'll be putting it up against the mighty Festool Domino. Are we about to see a shakeup in the joinery game? Let's talk about it. Hi everybody, hola amigos, Lee here from Busted Knuckle Woodworks. Today I'll be introducing you to the brand new JessEm Pocket Mill Pro loose tenon joinery system. I'll tell you what I think it's good at and maybe not so good at, and help you decide whether or not you should buy this thing. And we're going to do a comparison between this Pocket Mill Pro and the Festool Domino DF500 because that's what you're here for. And if you're wanting to get into loose tenon joinery, that's the only other serious game in town right now. I just want to say right up front, as always, JessEm is not sponsoring this video. Festool is not sponsoring this video. Nobody will send me money or free tools because they are clearly unaware of my existence. But that's okay. I bought this with my own money, and that lets me be totally honest and tell you if you should too. So here's what we're going to go over today. First, I'll take just a minute to explain the concept behind loose tenon joinery. Then I'll introduce you to the Pocket Mill Pro from JessEm. I'll demonstrate it in action, setting it all up, how it works, all the adjustments you can make, and so on. As we go, I'll talk about how I think the Pocket Mill Pro stacks up against the Festool Domino in terms of functionality, time spent, the results you get, and overall value. And finally, a bit of a spoiler alert. I will tell you right up front, the Pocket Mill Pro isn't for everybody. But the most important question is it for you? And I promise by the time you finish watching this video, that is a question you'll be able to answer for yourself. And my viewers are in for a treat. I have an assistant helping me today. I have my lovely wife acting as an assistant, Tammy. Say hi, Tammy.
Hello.
Hello. She'll be doing the Vanna White thing with the Festool Domino DF500 and the JessEm Pocket Mill Pro, but actually you'll be doing hands-on and demonstrating these tools, right?
That's right. It's just not just another pretty face.
I'm the pretty
I have
face.
brains too.
I'm the pretty face. What do you guys think? Who's the pretty face here?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, vote now.
Oh my God. Now, I'm sure most of you are familiar with the concept of loose tenon joinery, but for those who may not be, stick with me for a minute. I'm going to break it down real quick. These little fun-sized candy bar looking things are called tenons. To make this work, you need a device that will cut a slot for the tenon to fit into. That slot is called a mortise. Because the tenon is actually separate from the workpiece, we call it a loose tenon. Loose tenon joinery is incredibly useful, not only in situations where you would have once used a traditional mortise and tenon, but for all kinds of applications, from panel glue-ups to picture frames to flat pack furniture. Loose tenon joinery has skyrocketed in popularity in recent years due to the success of a German company called Festool, who make a device called the Domino Joiner. It seems there are two kinds of woodworkers when it comes to the Festool Domino Joiner. Those who love it and those who love to hate it. Most people I know who own one are firmly in the love it camp. In fact, I think most frequent users of the Festool Domino would replace it tomorrow if they had to. The people in the other camp are those who think it's underbuilt, overpriced, and whose broke ass ain't having it. Or those who think a biscuit joiner is just as good. Those people are misguided souls who ate lead paint chips and watched too much New Yankee Workshop as kids. One important thing to keep in mind is that Festool owns the patent on this particular device, and as such, this has been the only serious game in town when it comes to loose tenon joinery. But now, a Canadian company called JessEm has come up with this. They call it the Pocket Mill Pro. There's no patent issue here because, unlike the Festool Domino, this thing isn't motorized. You supply the power using your own drill, and that way, it's actually more of a jig than a machine. If you set it up properly, the results will be exactly the same. It's just how you get there that's different. The Pocket Mill Pro is the latest tool released by JessEm and is designed and manufactured in their own facility in Canada. And we know those Canadians, they're so nice and polite, and if it weren't for the Queen, they'd be Americans. JessEm has a reputation for unmatched quality and impeccable craftsmanship in everything they make, and this is no different. It uses anodized aluminum and stainless steel components throughout. No cheap plastic blue stuff here. No offense, guys. To be honest, I was really intrigued when I first heard about this because JessEm rarely releases anything unless they can be assured it's going to be the best of the best. Like that old song says. You don't tug on Superman's cape. Exactly. But that's clearly what JessEm is doing by taking on Festool at their own game, which you got to admit is a ballsy move. For the Pocket Mill Pro, there are essentially two different configurations available. As a standalone unit for use with a clamping system that you supply, or as a kit with this Baltic Birch workstation that uses microjig dovetail clamps. That's the one I have here, and trust me, you're going to want this. It just makes the whole system so much more useful. On both this JessEm and the Festool Domino, the key to the whole operation is the cutting bit. The idea is to hog out the material for the mortise by applying pressure against the workpiece while the bit moves from side to side. Think of it like a drill and a router had a baby. In fact, the cutters on both of these units are fluted just like upcut spiral router bits. If everything works correctly, the result is a mortise that the loose tenon can be inserted into. So let's have a closer look at what we're dealing with here. If you have the workstation, and again, I highly recommend this, you'll set that up first. The main part of the workstation is already assembled. This is all set up for microjig match fit dovetail clamps, which we'll show later. You'll want to clamp it to your workbench. Let it overhang a little bit so that it clears the edge of your bench. Next, attach the universal mounting plate. Then slide the Pocket Mill Pro into the plate, like so. Attach the handle. The handle can go on either side for both right and left-handed use. Once you've done all that, you're pretty much done. Ta-da! As I mentioned, with the Pocket Mill Pro, you need to supply your own drill. It doesn't need to be a very powerful drill. They recommend a minimum of 1200 RPM. This is the thing that actually does the cutting. They call it an end mill. You just chuck this up, just like any other drill bit. This 6mm end mill is included with the system. There are 5, 8, and 10mm end mills, as well as 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch. Those are available now on their website at JessEm.com, starting at around $45. Okay, so we are like 3 hours into this video and we haven't even cut a mortise yet. What is up with that? Let's get some work done. We have a board ready to go. I've drawn a line down the center here and I've marked locations where I want to cut mortises. We're going to clamp it in place using the match fit dovetail clamps. You do have the option of clamping from the side or from the top, depending on how large your work is. You loosen this knob here and slide the upper unit back. The Pocket Mill Pro comes with this referencing window. You just line up these laser etched reference marks with where you want to cut the mortise. Once you've done that, slide and lock the upper unit into position and you're locked in. Finally, you'll insert the end mill into this bearing at the top. To cut the mortise, start the drill and move this handle back and forth. The internal mechanism walks itself down 1/20th of an inch with each back and forth pass. You don't need a lot of pressure here, just enough to maintain good solid contact with the bearing. Keep this going until the stop collar bottoms out. Once you're done, simply remove the bit, press the release button, and the carriage immediately snaps back up into the start position, ready for the next mortise. One important thing to note, there's a stainless steel bushing that eliminates any flex from the end mill. I point this out because it may not be immediately obvious from the video, but at no point are you ever placing any lateral stress on the drill itself or on the end mill. All the sideways pressure is applied to the bushing that holds the end mill. So no chance of damaging your drill. You can cut mitered mortises on this as well. Just loosen these two knobs and use the adjustment knob in the back to rotate the plate to the angle you want. You can use the marks on the side here, but I find it easier to just reference the device directly against the material. Finally, because I know you're going to ask, can I adjust the depth and the width of my mortises? And the answer is yes. To adjust the depth, you use this wheel right here. That raises or lowers the depth stop and controls how deep your mortises will be, up to a maximum depth of 21 millimeters. And you can use these width adjustment screws to set the width where you want, and you're good to go. First, when it comes to comparing the Pocket Mill Pro to the Festool Domino, the most important thing to point out is that the results you get are exactly the same. I can definitively tell you, you will not be able to tell the difference between mortises cut with this or with this. Not by eye, not by measuring, and not by the way the tenons fit. But as I said earlier in the video, the way they get there is very, very different. And to me, those differences are best summed up in terms of cost, speed, and for lack of a better word, accessibility, or what I call the friendliness factor. The JessEm Pocket Mill Pro with the portable mounting angle goes for $349. That's the standalone unit. The package with the Baltic Birch workstation and the miter attachment is $499. And for an extra $40, they'll throw in a couple of these match fit dovetail clamps, which is a little cheaper than buying them separately if you don't already have some. On the other hand, the Festool Domino DF500 Q set will set you back $1,199, which is nearly 3.5 times the price of the JessEm base model and nearly 2.5 times the price of the full Pocket Mill Pro kit. Not to mention, you could easily spend thousands more on accessories for this thing. Whether or not the additional cost of the Festool is worth it to you is a question only you can answer. But quite honestly, if you need a Festool Domino, then you already know that you do, in which case you're not watching a video like this. In all fairness, I would say that for every Festool owner I know who uses their domino machine nearly every day, I probably know 10 who use it like maybe 5 times a year. And for those people, in my opinion, the Pocket Mill Pro just makes a lot more sense. It's a solid piece of gear, it's built like a tank, it delivers the same results, and it does all that for about 1/3 of the price. And that's definitely something to think about. I was going to do a speed test for this video, but there's really no point. The Festool Domino is faster. Way, way faster. Now that's not to say that the JessEm is slow, and let's face it, both methods are way faster than cutting mortise and tenon joinery by hand. If you're one of those guys, I salute you. You're insane, but I salute you. But you should ask yourself, how much does speed really matter to me personally and to my situation? I mean, woodworking isn't supposed to be a race. The Festool Domino is a really amazing machine for woodworkers who do loose tenon joinery often and who need to get a lot of mortises cut in a big hurry. Because time is money, right? If you're a busy professional shop doing this kind of joinery every day, batching out parts by the dozens, and you're paying someone on the clock to do this, then sure, in that case, the Festool is a no-brainer. Get it. Hell, get two. But I suspect the majority of my viewers are making one project at a time. If you're doing, say, 12 mortises on a panel glue up, the 8 minutes you saved isn't going to make that much of a difference. And to me, when it comes to speed, that's probably a more practical way to look at it. The Pocket Mill Pro uses only a handheld drill for power. And a drill is just a very comfortable and familiar thing that we all use all the time, a thing almost anyone can use. My mother, who never sawed a board in her life, owned a power drill. My baby sister owns a power drill. She's 59. I gotta stop calling her that. My neighbor, who couldn't drive a nail to the airport, owns a power drill. And with the JessEm, if you set it up right, it's almost impossible to make a mistake. Once you lock it down, it's not going to move on you. You can manipulate the handle as quickly or as slowly as you want. It's just a very friendly, low-stress device for beginners, for casual users, for woodworkers who aren't cutting mortises every single day. The Festool, on the other hand, unless you're using it very often and are well practiced with it, can be downright scary. It's motorized, it's heavy, it's really loud, it spins at over 25,000 RPM, and you need to keep that all under control by hand. Otherwise, it's very easy for the fence to drift, which will mess up your mortise and could really mess up some other things, if you know what I mean. And that's where I think the low intimidation, low stress, ease of use really comes into play. The Festool is very powerful, which, depending on the way you look at it and depending on how you use it, is its biggest strength or its biggest drawback, if that makes sense. By the way, if you're watching this video at a later date, my future self would like to tell you, go to JessEm.com and check out the accessories they have for this thing. I can't show them to you in this video because they don't exist yet, but those guys up in Canada, Darren, DJ, Justin, that whole gang, they're up burning the midnight oil, living off coffee and poutine, inventing all kinds of stuff as we speak. Like this panel attachment that lets you cut open field mortises anywhere you want. Look at that! And this doweling attachment that will make your workstation even more versatile. That's cool. The great thing is, JessEm is fully committed to the Pocket Mill Pro, not just as a device, but as a platform that will support not only every loose tenon joinery option available, but other kinds of joinery too. Before we close, I'm just going to say one more thing about this. This was something that occurred to me as I was making the video, and I don't have any inside information. I'm just spitballing here, but hear me out. Consider the name, Pocket Mill Pro. I'm thinking the use of the term pocket wasn't an accident. Perhaps, in some way, JessEm is trying to evoke the imagery of the pocket hole jig from Craig. Now, say what you want about pocket hole joinery, whether you love it or you hate it, you cannot deny that the pocket hole jig was a revolution in the woodworking world. When the pocket hole jig was introduced, suddenly all kinds of joinery was now accessible to woodworkers and DIYers of all kinds, all skill levels, beginners to professionals at a very affordable price, using just a simple handheld power drill. So think about what JessEm has done here. They've taken what was once a very high barrier of entry to loose tenon joinery and lowered it with a very high quality machine at a very reasonable cost using just a simple handheld power drill. Sound familiar? And in doing so, they've made loose tenon joinery accessible to everyone. And that, I think, is where the Pocket Mill Pro has really succeeded the most. Agree? Disagree? You know where to go. No, not there. The comments. And if you're looking for more JessEm goodness, check out this review of the PowerTech SR router I did a couple of months back. If you liked this video, I think you'll really enjoy that one too. I'm Lee from Busted Knuckle Woodworks. See you in the next one. Adios, amigos.